Welcome at Taraka Double O Railways with me, Elizabeth Lyons Dovey, and I have got a very special little packet for you today. Very special indeed, and this is none other than the W4 Lady Cornelia, loco number 33. So, with that, I have two locomotives that are ladies on the layout, and then adding me as a third lady, third time lucky, three times a lady. That is not the Lady Godiva today, and it's not Lady Elizabeth. No, today is Lady Cornelia. So looking at the box here, we'll see a beautiful illustration of this loco, and it just looks majestic in its state. And then obviously on the rear of the box we have the W4 indication by Hornby, and it is a Peckett and the history, the brief history on the loco that's normally provided. And then moving to the end of the box, we'll see the description of the DCC ready unit, as well as in double O gauge, and it's a Hornby R3869 Peckett W4, and that is Lady Cornelia, locomotive number 33. Must add, the Peckett green really stands out on this loco. And with unboxing, we'll see the sleeve ice packaging that normally comes with Hornby locos to protect those locos in the boxes. We really appreciate that. Thank you, Hornby. And then obviously we will have the maintenance pamphlet, but sadly no additional accessories on this loco, and I guess the fact is that everything's already been pre-fitted. So again, a minute size of the 060 OST tank, and obviously Harry's sister. This is the Lady Cornelia, probably one of the smallest little locos on my layout up to date. And yes, scratching in my box of locomotives underneath my layout, I just had to bring this one out. It was time. And so without further ado, let's have a look at this loco. So unboxing this loco and picking up the first time, you can feel the weight to this small little loco, and remember it's little minute little wheels, so you couldn't possibly think that this is a heavy loco, but indeed it has got a little bit of weight on. So with metal die-cast body, a feel of quality, being DCC ready, it requires a 4-pin DCC chip. The space provided in the loco for this. And again, just noting this lovely green livery, much darker than the illustrated picture on the box, but never mind. I really do appreciate a little bit of a darker shade of the green that we have here, but I'm not complaining at all. Having this little Peckett, little cute little loco in my hands, it does. If this does not motivate you to get all the Pecketts, then I don't know really. She is so cute and adorable. Actually, it's just wanting me to get the rest of them, all of them. Details are superb with all the handrails, detailed printing, and the lining stands out beautifully with the gold yellowish band and black. And it is amazing with a great paint job indeed. And the chimney dome is in the same colour as the loco. The name Lady Cornelia is also nicely depicted, and whereas other of the Peckett locos have shorter names and only numbers, I prefer a jam-packed unit anyways, and you get different paint jobs on these little Pecketts, and they've really invested in the product, and I really thank the suppliers for that, because I will be looking out for my next Peckett shortly. Elegantly finished off, and also adding that all the models are the same height in the range and the design with the same weight, and that's about 129 grams. From the side of the cab, number printed and outlined beautifully as well. Every part and accessory was carefully planned and fitted, like separately fitted cab steps, decorations, cab details, and no sprung buffers. The cylinders are also nicely depicted, and side accessories also outlined, even on the wheels on some of the models, and the chrome handrails. Although plastic pipework and top of the chimney also plastic, and the safety velvet bonnet also plastic, and safety valves very fragile plastic, so be careful when handling. Even the back of the cab leading up to the roof is plastic, and they have different finishes on these cabs as well. So some have a complete back closure, and some of them have only the half closure. Again, everything else is metal. So featuring glazed windows, and on the cab roof is the whistle, and the cab detail also pretty nicely done, and all pipework are being represented there. So featuring painted buffer beams and the hook, and although no chain link couplings, metal buffers, and as mentioned before, they are not sprung. The smokebox door also nicely depicted with handle, rails and hinges, and the smokebox dot. So there you have it, overall a very nice little logo. So while I was running it in, I didn't have any issues except for at one point, and that is on the siding when it actually stalled. Again, I think it is because I had to clean that siding. So after a good clean of the rails again, I ran it in and it had no issues on that rail. Also a good time to consider, where does the Peckett's names originate from? So it is known that the names came from industrial customers who purchased Peckett's, and more often than not, they name the Peckett's after the directors of the company or family members, and that is obviously where the names originate from. So without further ado, let's jump into the history of the Peckett. The Peckett W Class, a classic light Victorian 4-coupled medium-range industrial saddle tank that comprised 6 separate variations, from the W2 of 1884 to the W7 of 1938. Locomotives were built at the Ackers Engine Works in St George, Bristol. Peckett and Sons Limited, having taken over the business established there by Fox, Walker and Company in 1880. Fox, Walker and Company was very renowned for the Gabriel locomotive, as we can see here on the image, and this was built for the Windsor and Annapolis Railway in Nova Scotia. The company began trading in 1864 at the Atlas Engine Works, St George, Bristol, as Fox, Walker and Company, building 4 and 6 coupled saddle tank engines for industrial use. They also built stationary engines and pioneered steam tram cars, the first being tested in Bristol in 1877. Much of the output was exported, mostly 060 with some 040, 240 and 042 in 1878. They produced 6 18 in 457mm gauge, 242 trench engines for the Royal Engineers at Chatham using Henry Handyside's steep gradient apparatus. They also produced 9060 STs for the Somerset and Dorset Railway. Like we can see here, a larger 060 ST locomotive, they were taken over by Thomas Peckett in 1880, becoming Peckett and Sons Atlas Engine Works, Bristol. The company acquired limited liability some years later. By the 1900s, the two companies had built over 400 locomotives. The company, steam orientated, continued producing a variety of small industrial and shunting engines at their factory located between Fish Ponds and Kingswood in Bristol. Pickett's steam locos, noted for their fine rivet work on the cabs and tanks and the generous use of brass and copper work, continued to be built at the Atlas Works until June 12, 1958, describing their core market as collieries, ironworks, contractors, tinplate works, etc. Peckett took pride in turning their logos out in a lined works livery and utilised many standard components in their construction. However, the nature of the locomotive's end use meant there were a number of alterations carried out, particularly as reduced height versions for operating in smelting works and collieries. Peckett were eventually bought out by Reed Crane Hoist Company during 1961, having produced 140 W4 locomotives between April 1885 and February 1906. Peckett Works number 834/1900 was built new for the Dallas Ironworks, which had been sold to Arthur King the previous year. With the Dallas running number of number 33 and bearing the name Lady Cornelia, the locomotive we have here on the layout today operated over the extensive railway system associated with the works which, unlike Kufafa, had made an early conversion to steel production, enabling its survival into the late 1930s. Over here we can see number 2004 that was built in 1942 by Peckett and Sons and the locomotive manufacturer at the Atlas Locomotive Works on Deep Pit Road between Fishponds and St George, Bristol, England. They became specialists in the field with very precise specifications and standardization of parts. The largest engine was an 080 built in 1931 for the Christmas Island Phosphate Company. The works were served by a branch line starting just southwest of Kingswood Junction on the Midland Line and ran for about 1 mile, 1.6 kilometers, in a general eastward direction. It also served some colliers in the Speedwell area. The only evidence remaining of this line is a bridge abutment on Whitefield Road. During the two world wars, the works were especially busy, but the by 1950 trade had largely dried up, although in 1956 an attempt had been made to enter the diesel mechanical market. The last steam engine was produced in 1958 and the company was taken over by Reed Crane and Hoist Company Limited on 23 October 1961, which itself later went into liquidation. And here she is in a preserved state in South Africa at the Sandstone Estate. Despite hard work and poor maintenance, the engines were long-lasting. Many Peckett locomotives survived, working on today's heritage railways around the world. The last Peckett steam locomotive, built 2165 of 1958, is preserved at Sandstone Estates in South Africa. The oldest surviving Volkswagen locomotive is Karlskoga, an 060ST, like we can see here on the image, in 1873, and the first locomotive of the Norra Bergslags Railway, Sweden. It was steamed at Norra, Sweden in 1982. For further inspiration and reference to these locos, industrial railway operators demanded traction that was simple, reliable and cheap to run. These operators did not need the frills and frills of the marketing department or the complexities of mainline operators, but instead just very basic railway engines that could do a day's work. Britain led the way in supplying such traction not only at home but all over the world, and a number of companies specialized in this field, offering everything from custom-built locomotives through maintenance and even part exchange when engines were worn out. One of these was Peckett and Sons Atlas Engine Works in Bristol, whose range of W four-wheelers typified the ideal style of locomotive required by small operators. Peckett came into being in 1880, describing itself as the supplier to collieries, ironworks, contractors, tin packworks and etc. as previously stated, and quickly embarked on the design and production of a range of no-nonsense and easily maintainable locomotives. These were always a rugged design and incorporated many robust but simple features with the various different types, sharing as many components as possible in order that costs could be kept down. 4- and 6-wheel tank engines were available, and the company also built stationary steam engines for a time. Interestingly, Peckett had taken over the business of Volkswagen Company, and this firm had also built the power units for steam trams. From the earliest days, locomotives built by the company were always in development of an earlier design, and because of this, the company's products were somewhat conservative in nature. However, the gradual development resulted in locomotives on which all components had been thoroughly tested over a long period of time, and therefore could be guaranteed to be reliable and cost-effective in service. The works always had substantial other order books and was particularly busy during both World Wars, with its products much in demand for shunting at factories supplying the war effort. Unfortunately, the use of private railways declined during the 1950s, at a time when the steam engine was also falling out of favour, and consequently the company produced its last locomotive in 1958. An attempt had been made to keep up with the times by producing diesel shunters, but these were not particularly successful and did not prevent the company going out of railway business completely in 1961. So to recap, from a company's first locomotive that left the works in December 1884, this was a small 040T with outside cylinders and side tanks, which was built for the Kufarfa Iron Works in Mether-Tadeville, where it became number 9. Within 12 months, the design had been refined to include a saddle tank, thus settling out of principles and that were to define the company's engines over the next 80 years or so. The locomotive went to contractors Daniel Edwards and was one of many of the company's products that were to assist in the construction of major civil engineering projects around the country. Four-wheelers were from the known as the W class, and these came in 6 basic variations as the design developed from the W2 of 1884 to the W7 of 1937. As was usual with the industrial locomotives, the customer could specify a large number of detail differences, with the result that there are many variations of each of the 6 W series locomotive. The basic W4 had 2 13-in outside cylinders, later 14-in and 3 feet or 3 feet 2 driving wheels, which had H-section spokes and a boiler fitted with spring balance safety valves. The saddle tank was fitted above the boiler, so to access could not be obtained to the space between the frames from the maintenance purposes without the requirement of the use of a pit. At the rear, the standard cab had cut outside sheets, full spectacle plate and a full-length roof, while at the rear the sheeting only extended to half the height of the cab, like we can see here of the Lady Cornelia, with a total length of only 18 feet and a wheelbase of 5 feet 6 in. The locomotives were of particular value on confined sites or at locations with very tight curves. The W4 was produced from 1885 to 1906, and 140 examples were constructed in all. Some were supplied with lower cabs and chimneys, while there were also examples with shorter or lower saddle tanks. Many had full sheeting fitted to the rear of the cab, while buyers were encouraged to specify extras such as toolboxes, additional steps, handrails, and larger coal provision. The firm did not, however, offer options on the basic design of the locomotive, which it considered to be both proven and effective. Customers who tried to get mechanical variations were, it is said, politely turned away. Engines were turned out in standard Peckett green, unless the customers specified their own livery, and all were tested on the company's 1-mile-long private branch line, which rather unusually also served local collieries as well. Most of the W4s had uneventful lives in industry, either shunting or taking trains and from exchange sidings. Many worked in very poor conditions and were badly maintained, but the basic design was so sound that they survived for a great number of years. Some of the more notable customers for the design were the Manchester Ship Canal Railways, Huntley and Palmer Biscuits in Reading, and the EBBW Vale Steel Works, but the designs saw considerable use, especially where loads were not heavy or the length of journey was not of any great length. 3 W4s have survived to be with us today. The Sittingsbourne and Kemsley Light Railway has the oldest surviving Peckett, this being works number 614B, built in 1896 for James Dunlop's Iron Works on the Clyde. It remained there for more than 50 years before moving to Andrew Barclay and Sons in 1941 for heavy repair, following which it had sent to Mosent Engineering Works at number 3. After a further 25 years work it finally passed into preservation. Although it is currently non-operational, the Foxville Railway has works number 933 Henry Court, which was one of the pair delivered to EBBW Vale Railway and Vale 1903. This gave 51 years service before moving on to the same owner's ironstone quarry at Blissworth. It worked until 1965 before moving into preservation. Again, it is currently awaiting repairs. Also a static exhibit is the third preserved example, built in 1899, Daphne, which served with the Tytherington Stone Company in Gloucester before pensioned off as a piece of playground equipment to the seafront at Latham. Thankfully, it was saved and moved to the Ribble Steam Railway, where it awaits a considerable restoration. The W4 was a simple and reliable locomotive which came from a company that made it its business to service industry. Largely overlooked by enthusiasts during their working lives, these locomotives are now gathering a following through Hornby's new model of the design that should mean that their legacy will never be forgotten. And therefore, thank you very much everyone for joining me today with a look at the Peckett W4040ST steam locomotives. And I just wish you all the best, and you are always welcome at this channel. Regards, Elizabeth.